What's going on, fight fans? It's your host Sebastian, and welcome back to the Boxing Tip. So I came across a pretty interesting article this morning from the website BoxingNewsTV.com. Make sure you guys go check out that website. A lot of very informative stuff on there. But this bit of news has to do with the whole Kell Brook, Amir Khan, Errol Spence welterweight situation. So apparently there was negotiations between Kell Brook and Amir Khan for a fight that was to take place in May of this year. But according to the article, Kell Brook's manager requested a higher purse split for the fight, in favor of Kell Brook, obviously. And basically it, killed the fight, apparently. The reason being is that I get, the original purse split that was supposed to, be set for this fight, it would have been Kell Brook's highest payday to date, even more so than the Triple G fight. But because Kell Brook's manager requested more money, they were in a meeting. The meeting was shortly ended after the request, I guess ending in some pretty, creating a pretty hot atmosphere. A lot of people were not happy about it. Apparently Kell Brook's promoter Eddie Hearn definitely was not happy about it, and now Amir Khan's side is accusing Kell Brook of not wanting the fight or not taking the negotiation seriously, trying to squeeze out every bit of change that he can from the fight. Regardless of what really went down in that meeting, it's still very frustrating as a boxing fan to hear that even though Kell Brook wasn't going to fight Errol Spence Jr., which is personally the fight that I would have liked to seen, now there's not even an Amir Khan fight that's going to be taking place. So I don't know exactly what's going on through Kell Brook's head or what he's playing at, but it's not a good look. You know what I mean? If negotiations were off for this fight and the fight is now officially not going to happen, and it is coming from your side being the reason that the fight isn't going to happen, and it is also your choice to fight Amir Khan over Errol Spence Jr., to me that's not a very good look, and I like Kell Brook, man. I'm a huge fan of Kell Brook, but like I said, it's super frustrating because, I talked about it in my last video that I would have preferred to see the Errol Spence fight over the Amir Khan fight anyways. But if Kell Brook and Amir Khan were going to fight, I would have been fine with it, even though I would have preferred to see the other fight. But now it seems that neither fight is going to happen, and now Kell Brook may be looking at moving up to 154 pounds, which, alright, that's fine. I'm okay with that, but I think since, he had some very good available fights right there for him at 147, maybe that would have been a good way to end his welterweight career and then move up to 154 pounds, because ending 147, going up to fight Triple G, 2 weight classes above him, getting stopped, and then talk about coming back to 147 pounds and defending his title against his mandatory Errol Spence Jr. and then not wanting to do that and fight Amir Khan instead. But now that fight's canceled, and now, there's been a lot of talks of Kell Brook, stating that Errol Spence Jr. doesn't really bring much to the table, and there's not really a lot of reward for him in fighting Errol Spence Jr., and that there is much more reward fighting Amir Khan instead. But then now that fight's not going to happen. So this is just a lot of confusing shit that's going on in this situation between these particular fighters. Kell Brook is, I don't know if he's been stripped or if he still holds the IBF title. I'm pretty sure he still holds the IBF title, but that's a belt that's still in play, and held by a very good fighter, by Kell Brook. I would like to see him defend that against other decent fighters, like Amir Khan or Kell Brook. Not Kell Brook, Errol Spence Jr. I would have liked to see him because it creates a lot of interest in the welterweight division. But this holdup makes me a little bit frustrated. I'm happy that like Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman are fighting in a unification match. At least there's some establishment in the welterweight division as who the best at the welterweight division is. And we're getting closer and closer to that with fights like with fights like Danny Garcia versus Keith Thurman, 2 champions, right? So the 3 other fighters, Amir Khan, Errol Spence Jr., and Kell Brook, all very good fighters at the welterweight division. It'd be nice to see some establishment amongst those guys. Let's find out who the better fighter is. That's all I really care about, is I want to find out who the better fighter is. When it comes to money and everything like that, it's really not my position to defend a fighter for wanting to make more money or is looking at money fights. It's not really my position to defend against that, because obviously fighters want to make money in this career. They give a lot and they want to be compensated for that, for their hard work. But at the same time, I want to see boxing as a sport and find out, just like in any other sport, who the best team is. I want to find out who the best fighter is at a particular weight division. And I think the only way to find that out is by watching 2 fighters get in the ring and battle it out. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the only way to figure out who the best fighter is. You could speculate on who you think the best fighter in a division is all you want, but until a fighter fights the best, we can't know that for sure. Like a lot of this surrounds Errol Spence Jr. He gets a lot of praise from a lot of boxing fans, and a lot of people believe that he is the best at the welterweight division, and even though he has some, and I give him credit for a lot, for his wins against, like Algieri and Leonard Bundu, Leonard Bundu being a very tricky boxer. Chris Algieri, I wouldn't rate him as a world-class type of fighter or a, high-level type of fighter. Nevertheless, he is a good boxer. Errol Spence made fairly easy work of him. Errol Spence also made fairly easy work of Leonard Bundu. So obviously he's operating at a bit of a higher level. But until he fights a fighter who would be rated as a high-level fighter, or that I would at least consider a high-level fighter, I'm not going to really know for sure. Even though I like Errol Spence Jr., I'm really impressed in what he does inside of the ring. He's a very good boxer. Same with Amir Khan. I do like what he does inside the ring. Unfortunately, he doesn't take the best punch. I feel like if he could take a better punch, that could be the difference in him, losing some of the fights that he's lost. You know what I'm saying? Like against Danny Garcia, I personally had Amir Khan winning the fight up until he got knocked out by Danny Garcia. But it is what it is, You don't have the strongest chin. You take a shot against a fighter with good punch like Danny Garcia, and you're gonna go down. So even though I still believe Amir Khan is a very good boxer, he's an excellent boxer at welterweight. I would like to see him versus Kell Brook, because now at least I can establish the difference. I can establish who the better boxer is amongst the two, just like I would like to establish who the better boxer is between Kell Brook and Errol Spence. Even though I feel, just from the eye test, I feel Kell Brook may be the better boxer. But, it's different depending on the opposition. Against Errol Spence, I don't know. I really don't know. So, unless they were to get in the ring together, I wouldn't know for sure on who I would think is better. But, either way, this whole situation surrounding Kell Brook, it's been frustrating before, and now it's even more frustrating. And now I'm just to the point where I'm just like, whatever, if he's gonna, it's kind of like the Andre Ward thing. I wanted Andre Ward to rematch Kovalev, and I'm pretty sure they're still going to rematch. But with all the talks and different looks, like of retirement, I'm just to the point like, well, fuck, dude, if you're gonna retire, then retire and leave it at that. Same with Kell Brook. Hey, if you're not gonna fight this welterweight and you're not gonna fight this other welterweight because of money, and you're not going to fight this other welterweight for whatever reason because he doesn't bring enough money, up to the point, well, move up. If you're going to move up, then move up. Vacate the belt, or, whatever, if they strip him, or if he vacates it, leave the belt at welterweight, move up to 154, pursue the fights there. But if you're going to do it, then do it. You know what I'm saying? I don't like things getting held up for too long of a time. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure you guys don't either, you know? Even if it's your favorite fighter, your least favorite fighter, you know, depending on how you feel about a fighter, you still don't like the fact that things get held up. You know, you want to see things start coming to fruition. You want to see moves being made in boxing. The same as me, you know. You guys already know that I don't have a lot of, you know, I don't really speak too negatively about boxers, you know, other than with the exception of a couple, you know, that I'm just not a fan of in the ring. And one in particular, like Andre Ward, I'm not really exactly a fan of what he does outside of the ring with talks of retirement. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. You know, that's just my reasoning. But hey, if you guys rock with Andre Ward, I'm cool with that, you know. I'm not going to judge you for it. But, you know, Kell Brook, he's one of those guys that I absolutely love to watch fight. I'm starting to not become a fan of his when it comes to things that he's doing outside of the ring, because it's very time consuming for one, and I'm not a very patient boxing fan. Even though I fuck with, you know, more boxers than I could really even, you know, name off, you know. I watch a lot of boxers, so, you know, I'm always occupied. You know, if one particular boxer that, you know, I like to watch isn't really much happening, you know, at least I have another 100 more boxers that I can, you know, pay attention to, because it keeps me occupied. You know what I'm saying? But with Kell Brook, you know, in the welterweight division being not the, you know, how do I say this? It's not so much the most active division, you know, with their fighters. You know, fighters only fighting once or two times a year. You know, the top fighters of, you know, at least the top 10 fighters of welterweight, you know, they're fighting maybe once or twice a year, or once a year, or fighting twice in a year, but they're fighting in the beginning of the year, at the very end of the year. You know, there's just not a lot happening in the welterweight division. There's not enough happening, you know, in my opinion. So with Kell Brook and not fighting Errol Spence Jr., or not, you know, defending his title against his mandatory versus Errol Spence Jr. to make a bigger money fight with Amir Khan, hey, it makes sense financially. It ain't the fight that I would, you know, that I preferred to see first, but it makes sense financially, I guess. But now that fight's not going to happen either, according to, you know, the Boxing News TV article that I've read, you know, and they put out a lot of good stuff, man. So if you ask me, they're a pretty credible source of information, you know, news that goes on in the boxing world. But yeah, you know, with Kell Brook, you know, his team not making the Amir Khan fight, you know, asking for more money than they were, you know, originally gonna get, and it pushed, you know what I'm saying, and it really just kind of tore things in half. You know, it really, you know, it makes me question what Kell Brook's motives are. You know what I'm saying? If he wants the money fights, then, you know, that's cool. You know, I understand that. But when you have a money fight that you're getting ready to make, and you're about to make more money than you have in your entire career, then why even, you know what I'm saying, then why mess with it? You know what I'm saying? Why push your luck? Why really bargain? You know what I'm saying? Bargain too much to the point where you can really throw off the deal, you know? You know, it makes me question Kell Brook, his motives, and then, you know, his whole team surrounding him. Like, I don't know if they're exactly, and I'm not trying to say that they don't care about their fighter, obviously, but I don't know if they know exactly what's best for the fighter, you know, to be making serious calls like that. But hey, I mean, it's the business side of boxing. Business is business. I'm no boxing businessman, so I don't exactly understand what happens, you know, in the negotiations, or what's being said, and what fucks a deal up and what doesn't. You know what I'm saying? So I don't fully 100% understand that, you know, and I admit that. Maybe if I've ever witnessed a negotiation, or I got more of, you know, inside scoop on what goes down in negotiations, then yeah, maybe I would understand it a little bit better. But as of right now, I'm really starting to question Kell Brook's motives. And it's not because I don't like him or anything. It's just I want to see him fucking fight somebody. You know what I'm saying? But if he's talking about 154, then what is he doing? Then why, you know, then don't waste too much time. Just move up to 154 and get the fighting. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of good guys at 154 for Kell Brook to fight. You know, you got, even if, you know, you don't want to get into like the very top, you know, upper echelon of the division, like, you know, the Charlos, Demetrius Andrade. I could consider Erislandy Lara, being that he's a champion, you know, Vanes Martirosyan, or even Jared Hurd, you know what I'm saying? Some really good 154 pounders out there. You know, there's plenty of guys, you know, to fight. So if he's going to make that move, then I think he should just make the move and, you know, not really waste too much more time and just start fighting again. You know what I'm saying? That's all I want. That's what most boxing fans want. You know, especially Kell Brook's boxing fans. They just want to see him fight. But, you know, I don't really know what's going to happen from here. I wish I did know more of what future plans are other than moving up to 154 pounds. But I'm going to say this just one last time. If Kell Brook is not going to fight any top welterweight and he's really struggling to make the weight as he says, then just not waste any more time and move up, and then, you know, really start to further your career at 154 pounds. I think it's that simple, but it might not be that simple. You know what I'm saying? But let me know what you guys think. You know, what would you rather see Kell Brook do? You know what I mean? Or what do you think Kell Brook may be playing at here? What do you think is in store for Kell Brook's career? You know, being that he's not gonna, you know, it's not seeming like he's gonna fight Errol Spence Jr. If the fight gets made, then fuck yeah, I'll be so happy about that. Even if the Amir Khan, if they decide to try at it again, hopefully it doesn't take too long. But if they decide to try at it again and get that fight made, I'll be happy as well. But if Kell Brook moves up to 154 pounds and decides to fight there from now on, I'll be happy with that as well. What I'm not very happy with is the amount of time, you know what I'm saying, in between all this shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it should take too much time. I think if, you know, I'm tired of inactive fighters. I need to see these fighters who are at the top of their divisions get shit cracking. You know, you made it there. Why are you stopping now? You fought all your way up to being at the top of your division, and now you decide to slow down. I don't understand that logic. I feel like that's the best time to really start getting shit moving. You made it to where you want to be. Now let's make some shit happen. But that's just me. I don't really know. But let me know what you guys think. Also subscribe to the channel. Share the video with your boxing homies. Introduce somebody to boxing. That's all I got for you guys on this one. I'll talk to you on the next one. Peace.